Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day. I believe we are finally going to be rounding out the Lord Blackwood tales here and getting into the final episode of the Lord Blackwood tales. I've been saving this one for a while. I really enjoyed a lot of the Lord Blackwood story tales, but I've been saving this one because I knew it was a part of this Red Tape series. We're going to be getting into Lord Blackwood in the city of Amon Iram by the Exploring series. Links will be down below in the description, as always, to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Exploring series channel. So please do me a favor. If you enjoy this video, be sure to go over there and give it a like, and be sure to hit that sub button on the Exploring series channel if you have not already. Definitely deserves the love. He makes a lot of great content for the SCP universe as well as others. Please show the man some support. If you'd like to join us when I do these reactions live with my YouTube members, there's a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. So if you've been around for a while, want to take your sport to the next level, you can check all that stuff out. And do me a favor, consider leaving a like and a sub on this, as it helps me and the channel grow. It lets me and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy this kind of content and you want to see more. With all that said, let's jump into the video. Again, Lord Blackwood in the city of Amon Iram by the Exploring series.
Lord Blackwood in the city of Amon Iram.
Is it just me, or like his videos are getting quieter? Every video it seems to be getting quieter and quieter. I'm going to boost this up a little bit here. See if that's better.
The English naturalist and explorer Lord Theodore Thomas Blackwood has been to many a strange locale, from other dimensions to other planets, and has been involved with plenty of strange adventures, including hunting a Tarrasque and meeting both Bigfoot and fairies.
It's still funny to me that, you know, he's just a giant sea slug and everyone's cool with it, you know what I'm saying?
It's not unreasonable to call him the greatest explorer to ever live. So when even Lord Blackwood flees from a location wishing never to return, you know that it's not a pleasant
It's serious.
place.
That's serious, yeah.
The short tale...
I mean, he's fought 682 before, you know what I'm saying? Like, he fought 682 and lived to tell the tale. So, you know that it's going down.
Reading for you today concerns his visit to a paranatural city known as Amon Iram. And it actually serves as a prelude to an SCP-001 proposal that further elucidates the city.
Elucidates, I like that word.
Let's dip our toes in then and begin. July 12th, 1801. I received the most peculiar gift today. Messer Brazeau visited me today, simply appearing out of nowhere in front of my breakfast table and pulling out a chair. After umpteen years of knowing Jacques, this is not altogether surprising, but the timing of the visit did inspire a measure of surprise in me, though he refused to answer any questions until Miss Cartwright served him a plate, the cad.
Of course.
He confirmed, at my slightly offended prodding, that his recent silence had come as a result of increased scrutiny on the value of l'Estate Noire by the first consul Bonaparte. Whether the francs being poured into their archives were not better spent equipping the men on the front. Whether the objects in such archives could not be put to better use on the very same fronts. An officer communicating with an English noble during wartime would be a death knell for the organization. While I care little for mundane political squabbles, I understand Jacques' position. My second question was regarding the large hay-packed crate that had appeared alongside Jacques. Wiping his mouth from the pheasant, he explained it was a gift, and drew his cavalry saber to use the flat to pry off the top of the crate.
He breaks
the
sword.
We both peered in. A collection of 6 large, heavy stone tablets, each the size of my chest, packed with straw into neat rows. Using all our strength, we were able to...
He has the Ark of the Covenant.
...draw one out. It was papered in inscriptions in an obtuse script that resembled Greek. Jacques explained over coffee sometime later. Due to the increased scrutiny on the estate, he had taken it upon himself to personally ensure no potentially dangerous artifacts made it into the hands of the Warhawks in the French consulate. He had been surreptitiously smuggling such items out of catacombs and into the hands of well-informed friends of ours. I questioned what kind of danger a set of tablets could carry. He elucidated. Some
There's that
years
word
ago,
again.
agents of the estate recovered a cache of technology, impossibly advanced prostheses, from a shipwreck in the Aegean Sea. With them had come this set of tablets, remarkably well preserved in sealed jars. They apparently described a set of ancient cultures, the origins of the technology, and where to find their cities. Deeply intriguing, but the translations were ongoing in Paris. He promised to deliver the manuscripts as soon as they were complete, and so I await.
For real.
Several weeks worth of
We need a Lord Blackwood SCP game where we're tomb raiding, essentially. That needs to happen.
entries have been rendered illegible by moisture damage. August 23rd, 1801. Traveling with soldiers always makes for an entertaining trip, if nothing else. When Brazeau first provided me the completed translations, I was slightly incredulous. The Arabia
Another great
has
word.
been inhabited continuously for many centuries by a surprisingly cultured people. Surely, if a metropolis
Don't
stood
call
as
me
scale
Shirley.
laid in the center of the area, someone would have found it. But then, the Black Tower lies beneath London herself, and I was the first man in centuries to step through its doors. I suppose anything is possible. I could tell Jacques would have preferred to go himself, but the good Frenchman urged me instead.
Of course.
With the tenuous political situation in the consulate, he could not afford to go on an expedition. Unfettered as I was by antiquated political rulings, he arranged for my passage with the Armée d'Orient as they moved into Egypt and
As
Arabia.
one does.
I found myself agreeing along. It has been some years since I had traveled to the warmth of the equator. And so here I remain, my detachment of just over 24 sleeping in a distanced camp. At first, the soldiers were naturally suspicious of Englishmen, especially in times like these, but we are all too weary to keep up such walls for long. Now my 24 men mingle with them like brothers, conversing in a broken mixture of French and English. They're all too willing to listen to our stories of the paranatural. The Encore trails and the Sphinx hunts have become favorites. The officers, however, remain wary of the Englishmen with the strange tools and charms and stories of a world beyond. No matter. Tonight is the last night.
Never
we
trust
bunk
a
with
red
the
coat.
Armée. Tomorrow, the marching plans take us as close as they ever will to the location transcribed on the tablets, less than a day's walk. Diverting the entire army is beyond even Messer Brazeau, so my detachment will say our goodbyes to our traveling companions and walk the distance.
Alright, so to summarize so far, Frenchman that Lord Blackwood knows has come to him with some tablets that the translation of is still being taken care of, but he wants him to go on some adventure, and they're paying him to do so. That's pretty much what I'm getting from this so far.
Tomorrow, we see what truth there is to these legends of an Atlantis of the sands.
Okay.
August 24th, 1801. Pardon my French, but
Pardon.
bollocks.
How dare he?
August 24th,
How
1801.
dare he?
Continued. This expanse of sand is no different from the other countless expanses of sand we have traveled to arrive here. Empty, desolate, not even birds of prey ride these winds. It is dark, but even in the darkness, it is quite obvious there is nothing here resembling an Atlantis of
Yeah, I like that Atlantis of the Sands. That's an interesting. It provokes a certain kind of imagery and mystique, right? You know.
the sands, resembling much of anything at all, in fact. Merely the rolling dunes. We have chosen to make camp. I write this by lantern light as the men eat and make merry. We will
Kind of makes me wonder if anyone would ever write like an SCP story about like Shangri-La, you know, that like hidden paradise of Chinese or Asian lore, as well as also like El Dorado, you know, the lost golden city in the Amazon. Those could be interesting, like SCP related stories or something like that.
We'll continue searching in the morning, but the immediate signifiers are not reassuring. August 25th, 1801. My predictions from last night ring true. We have combed every square meter of the location in the tablets,
Okay.
explicitly marked as the midpoint between the mountains and at an angle to a crevasse, which we located. By all possible measures, the city should be here. The men have come to the conclusion that we are indeed in the correct location, but at the incorrect elevation.
Ah.
Toying with his false eye at supper time, Watterson posited that after 3,000 years, the strong wind patterns in the Arabian Peninsula would likely have shifted large amounts of sand. Amon Iram may well be here, simply buried under countless tons of sand.
Yikes.
Not a reassuring notion, but better than it not existing at all.
What are we going to do, start digging?
Though the latter is just as likely. Tomorrow, we begin digging. August 26th, 1801. Watterson has vanished from the dig site. The men sustain he was directing them one moment, took a step away for a smoke, and vanished from thin air.
Interesting.
We have searched up and down the area. I fear the worst. August 26th, 1801. Continued. Relief. We heard loud calls during a silent supper and raced out of the tent. We found Watterson stumbling across the sand, out of his mind with thirst and sunstroke. We filled him with water and carried him back to camp. He's resting in a tent, and the surgeon says he will be fine in the morning.
How does a sea slug dig? That would be the question.
Off his body fell his own journal, the most recent entry, dated to today, being a hastily scribbled statement on how he had fallen into an ancient city in a space that seemed separate from the surrounding desert.
We're getting into the back rooms now. Apparently Amon Iram is in the back rooms. He fell through somewhere and ended up somewhere else and then came back out. We're SCP back rooms here. We're mixing the lore. We're crossing the streams.
Desert. This warrants investigation. Several pages of moisture damage. August 27th, 1801. I have traveled up and down the earth, exploring the peaks and crevasses of our wondrous planet. The things I have seen have filled countless volumes and vaults in Britannia. I have encountered forgotten beasts, forsaken lands, and more than my fair share of ancient ruins. I have never seen anything like Iram. Iram.
That would be quite the statement too, because like from the stories he's had, obviously he's had quite some adventures. I mean, he went to Mars, right? Wasn't that one of his stories? He left the planet, went to Mars. Like that in and of itself is crazy. So if you're telling me that this city is crazier than going to Mars, that's got to be something.
Amon is, according to the tablets, a title akin to capital, is an impressive sight by any mundane measure. Its walls outclass their Chinese rival in thickness and height, more battlements than blockade. The streets are wide and open, crisscrossing the city into a complex web of roads and avenues. The broadways are lined with what could have once been shops and merchant stalls. The towers. By Jove, the towers stretch so far into the sky, one struggles to imagine how they could have been constructed. The intricate stone and metal work that covers every surface has the telltale imperfections of hand carving. The city itself is not in our world, not properly. It exists in a sort of pocket, accessible at random. I am as yet unsure what qualifies one for being able to access this pocket, but once a person is seen doing this, it appears all others around them are also capable of it.
Interesting.
Most
So yeah, it just seems like there's some kind of doorway, or like he says, extra dimensional pocket that once you enter, everyone can enter. Maybe it's only like available at certain times of the day or year or something like that, and other times not, but interesting.
curious. The city is truly gargantuan, much larger than even London, and we have seen passages underground. I expect some sort of underground construction. But it is impossible for us to explore the entirety, so we have chosen to make camp in one of the empty buildings for the night. An air of excitement buzzes through the air as we eat and bed
Yeah,
down.
I would too. I'd be pretty excited finding some kind of crazy lost city like this that's, still there and intact. Are there people there? Could we learn more about them, their culture, where they came from? I mean, it's a lost part of human history potentially.
August 28th, 1801. Further exploration
Yeah,
has
same.
indicated the city is perhaps not as utopian as first thought. The first task was to ascertain a rough map of the city. A large portion of it is, as we discovered, almost totally destroyed. Bombed out ruins, pitted streets, and dried
Hmm.
out bones litter the paths. Scorch marks.
Bombed out streets, and you said scorch marks here, so it would seem to have indicated that there was some kind of war that happened here, and the city is maybe abandoned and left in ruin. So I wonder again, like, we're starting to get into what I originally thought some of this red tape stuff is about, getting into Meccan, Sarkics, Davites. Maybe this was an ancient Davite city that, kind of a thing. I don't know. I guess we'll continue and find out.
On the buildings complete the image. The section of the wall in this quarter is similarly broken through. I am of the opinion that this city did not fall apart. It was taken.
Yeah.
Whatever battle did occur here, it was 3 millennia ago. And yet the bones look as clean and fresh as if they had been stripped not yesterday. The men we sent into the passages quickly returned, with claims of strange vines and pods down below, in a labyrinth of iron and steel. These are hardened men who have explored with me many times, but they seemed unnerved. I will go down myself, but today was consumed by the making of the map. The city itself is approximately circular. A temple complex dominates the center, and 4 broadways extending outward cut the arrangement into quarters. Very well
Interesting.
designed for an era in which mathematics was only a loose concept.
Yeah, this would definitely seem to lean towards Meccan architecture and the idea of extremely large towers with no reasonable way of understanding how they could have been constructed and how large they are. A circular city divided into 4 parts, seeming to have the mathematical and geometric um, setup, essentially. Probably for strategic reasons that maybe we will learn about, but sounds pretty mechan so far.
But there is a soberness. The emptiness of this city is overwhelming. Not only have we seen no other people, we have not seen farms, plants, and
It's also interesting though, they do say bones, right? They've seen bones, but they haven't seen, like, because like Mechanites, right? People of the broken Church of the Broken God, and those, um they integrate technology into themselves, right? To my understanding. So you would think that you would see, if you see corpses, skeletons, whatever, you would think you would also see remnants of cybernetic implants or anything like that that could be attached to skeletons as well, or just laying around. But he hasn't mentioned anything about that, so maybe They could be remnants of Sarkics or just other humanoids. Maybe the actual Mechans got away or something. But again, if it was Sarkic, you would also think maybe they'd see skeletons of some other kind of like bestial creatures. I don't know.
Animals, anything remotely resembling life. The howl of the wind is the only sound one can hear,
That'd be
aside
very
from his
eerie.
own boots against the stone. This effect is only intensified at night. As we settle down into our tents,
I don't know.
we do not speak. There is an unspeakable presence in the air. August 29th, 1801. As I turned to make my way back to the camp, I heard a soft pinging, the unmistakable sound of metal on stone. I raised my cane, only to see a small metal automaton, a child's toy, staring back at me. A monkey that could fit into the palm of my hand, hanging from a pipe along a wall.
Interesting.
It cocked its head at me. A moment of hesitation, and then I reached out. I have no idea what it is. I've seen automata, but this metal beast is intelligent, capable of acting depending on the situation. It shows emotion. It plays when I play and hides when I shout. Most fascinating.
So it's literally just a metal living monkey. Interesting. Makes me wonder if they replicated life, like took the consciousness of a monkey and put it into a metallic monkey body, or if it's something kind of more along the lines of, I guess, like Horizon Zero Dawn, where they're replacing certain animals in nature with metallic ones, because maybe this pocket dimension didn't have any kind of like natural life, so they tried to create it themselves using, their metallurgical technology.
This is, no doubt, an example of the aforementioned advanced technology that led us here. I brought it to the camp, and the men were similarly fascinated. I assumed this creature, watching us, was the source of the strange heaviness last night. A seasoned explorer can always tell when there are a pair of eyes on his back, even when he cannot see them. But when I bunk, I hear it, in the very farthest reaches of my hearing. Countless overlapping pitter-patters of metal on stone.
That sounds terrifying.
We are far from alone. August 30th, 1801. I visited the temple today. It is a grand affair, like the stone-carved temples of the New World. Sandstone and limestone, with great big murals fashioned out of overlapping plates of a strange bronze metal. They are incredibly stylized, but seem to tell a story, possibly a creation myth of savages, but I find it difficult to say. A massive statue of what could only be a god or king dominates the courtyard, hefting a spear and sword. His gaze seems to follow me throughout the temple. If it is indeed a temple, the interior can only be described as a throne room, and what a throne, rivaling even King Edward's chair. I hold my ear close, and I swear I can hear a slight ticking. Standing in its presence is strange, invasive, I would say. I did not dwell, and I warned my men to do the same.
It's pretty interesting. So it sounds like the mural might, to my understanding, and correct me if I am wrong, right? Like the creation myth of Yaldabaoth is also essentially how the Mechans came into being. Like Yaldabaoth created all life, but then Meccan elevated that life by essentially giving humanity like intelligence and technology, right? To my understanding. So it sounds like, yeah, they're depicting Yaldabaoth creating life and then Meccan kind of looking over it and I guess giving his gifts. But it's interesting that in this story, there's kind of this like almost dark forebodingness to this that really hasn't been in any other stories of or depictions of anything Mechanite or Church of the Broken God related. Like, I always kind of think of them as more of on the good guys side of things. Like, they definitely are not. There are times where they're at odds for the SCP Foundation, but in general, they have at least what they perceive to be the betterment of humanity in mind through advancement of technology and cybernetics and, you know, other things like that, and wanting to bring, you know, Meccan back. But this seems like maybe this was like a corrupted sect of Mechanites, maybe that maybe had gotten into some darker things. I don't know. This seems a little more. Yeah, there's kind of a darker, mysterious side to the story here.
I do not know what is within that throne, but every instinct in my body suggests I should leave it be. August 31st, 1801.
Right.
I descended into the passages today. The men were right. The silence above ground is doubled down below. Every movement and step against the metal sends an echoing clang through the structure, as if I were standing at the bottom of a canyon. I left a rope to mark my path. Before long, the maze became utterly impossible to navigate by memory. Surely they would never intentionally create something this labyrinthine. Or perhaps they had their own methods of mapping the path. Regardless, I am not bold enough to risk disorientation in pitch blackness and return quickly.
Yep.
But before I did, I stumbled upon the vines mentioned by the men. Petrified little things, snaking up and down the walls and falling to ash when touched with my blade.
Interesting.
The pods. Spherical things resting on the vines, the size of my chest, slightly throbbing.
Sounds Davite-ish, but also very 610-ish. You know? From what I remember, that's how, like, some of the 610 stuff kind of came to be out there. I don't know. Interesting.
And the bones. Hundreds on hundreds, human and otherwise. Deformed skulls, femurs with bulbous growths, bones splitting into Y-shaped crosses, a chain of small bones 4 meters long, and countless human bones picked clean of all viscera. They are littered knee-deep and dry as, well, a bone. They crunch underneath my boot. These charnel houses start as jarringly as they stop. Entire passageways can be ossuaries, and other sections are all fine steel and rusted iron. I do not know what occurred here, but whatever it is, it was something horrible.
Sounds like it.
Tomorrow we take our leave and go to our ship docked in the Levant to report back to the estate. Amon Iram is seductive, but my own bones tell me that if I do not take my leave quickly, they will join their countless brethren under the streets.
That'd be difficult for me to not want to explore more. Story continues in SCP-001, Amon Iram. Okay. I guess we still have more Lord Blackwood to get into. Okay. Hold up. No quote, though. All right. Very intrigued. As I've mentioned numerous times, the Meccan, Sarkic, Davite side of the SCP stuff is what fascinates me quite a bit about the SCP universe and learning more about them and the ancient cities and wars and whatnot that happened between them. Something that I would very much love to learn more about and have more elaborated on. This seems like this could be getting into that. Obviously, it seems like Lord Blackwood has found some kind of Meccan city, it seems, that may have been taken over by Sarkics, potentially. The Sarkic forces, that's what could be those pod related things. They, you know, the city was taken, all the people were rounded up and were consumed in biomass, as has happened in other stories, to be evolved into whatever else. Maybe it could be Davite related stuff with their blood sacrifices and their, you know, blood thaumaturgy and rituals. But an interesting you know, cliffhanger that we haven't really had, you know, so far in a lot of these SCP stories. So it seems like we're starting to get to the meat of what red tape is all about, which we'll have to get into obviously next time. So stay tuned for more on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Will we find out if Goku will continue screaming or not? But yeah, that was Lord Blackwood in the city of Amon Iram by the Exploring series. Links will be down below in the description as always, to the original video and to the Exploring series channel. So pretty much, yeah, I don't know, just for some reason just had a brain fart there and my brain just stopped functioning. But yeah, links will be down below for all of his stuff. Go over there, give him a like, give him a sub if you haven't already. Show the man some love. Makes a lot of great content for the SCP universe. Definitely deserves it. If you'd like to join us when I do these reactions live, as I'm doing right now with my YouTube members, I'd love to have you guys come in and join us, add your 2 cents, join our conversations. There's a join button underneath the video, as well as a link in the description to the YouTube membership benefits and tiers that I offer. So if you've been around the channel for a while, want to take your support to the next level, you can check all that out and see if any of that would have any interest for you. Do me a favor, consider hitting, you know, the like button on this video, consider hitting that sub button, hit that notification bell, all that kind of stuff. It lets me and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy these videos and you want to see more of this content. So thank you guys very much for hanging around to the end of the video. Taking time out of your busy day and busy schedule to watch this all the way to the end means a lot. Thank you very much. Hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing what's going to happen next time on Dragon Ball Z.